It's interesting as I watch these folks learn how to surf. And earlier they were all laying on the board, and one was just showing them as they were loading on the board how to do certain things. And looks like they're wrapping up now. But I think when it comes to ministry, we really do tend to learn how to do ministry from where we grew up, right? And it's clear that one of the things that Street Bishops does is that Street Bishops is a place for all of us to come together to get the resources we need, but then we can go out and do ministry the way we want to do it. Like these young surfers, they're learning the instructor's way of getting up, on the wave. But what's going to be true is that once they get out there and start surfing themselves, they're going to have their own style, their own way of getting up on a wave. And ministry is the same way, Here at Street Bishops, we can put up all the videos we want about outreach and how to start your ministry and how to come up with the idea of service and how you're going to serve your community. But then once you get out there and you get on the street with folks and start listening to their stories, then you begin to have your own style of doing ministry. And that's what's important, is developing your style of meeting people where they are. That's what Christ did, and that's what each of us do. We have the basic foundation that, Christ is our Savior and who we look to towards strength and faith and salvation, but each of us will have our own way of how we communicate with the folks we serve. Some of y'all for years, look, we've been around for 25 years, and some of you all are engaged in prison ministries, and some are engaged in feeding programs, and others just do individual counseling with folks, meeting their needs where they are. So I don't want you to ever feel like you have to, be following what I say or what somebody else says about how you should do ministry. I think one of the only foundational things that I would say is that outreach is just a critical part of any ministry. It just is, because we can be closed in with our friends and think we're doing God's work or that we're doing evangelism, but when we're just sticking around ourselves and just doing Bible studies and things like that, that's self-enriching, but that doesn't do anything for the people around us. There wasn't a lot of time biblically where Jesus was just hanging out by himself. Not only did he have his apostles, but he was out with the people, touching people, talking to people, healing people all the time. And I think that needs to be our focus, is getting out with the people. And then over the years, some of you have asked me, you've said, well, what should we be doing when we're out evangelizing? Again, that's a personal choice for sure. But evangelizing really should be wrapped up in service. What are you bringing to the people today that will encourage them to be a part of what you want them to be a part of, right? How do you even ask them if they know Christ in a meaningful way unless first you have a rapport with them? You have to develop some type of relationship, even if it's over just a few minutes before you dive right into the whole Jesus thing. And I think for a lot of folks, that's what's been challenging, is that they want to go out and do ministry, but they're not willing to get to know the people that they're ministering to a little bit before they just go right in and ask real personal questions like, do you know Jesus? Because that's a pretty darn personal question. Sure, some people will go out there and shout from the housetops and everything they do that they're a Christian, they're a Christian, they're a Christian. But where the rubber meets the road is really, how is somebody living? How are they thinking? How are they conducting themselves day to day, more than the label that they put on themselves? And so you'd want to show somebody a Christian act from yourself first, so that they can begin to get a gauge of who you are as an evangelist, who you are as a minister, who you are as a follower of Christ, before then you start to speak into their lives about whether they do or don't know Christ, and what their lives are about and their challenges are. So that's just something that I've always had on my mind over the decades I've been working with you all, is encouraging people to really start that relationships, talk to people, get to know them, and then ease in with your evangelism instead of running them over like a freight train. That's just an important thing to me, and I know to a lot of you all, you've expressed it to me that's important to you also. Christian evangelism is tricky. It can be either in your face, or it can be very subtle and just brought into someone's life in a way that has context and meaning. I'm going to ask this person to text me because I'm on a live with you. So evangelism is really an important part of what we do for most of us, for a lot of us. And, we have a deep desire for others to know Christ. And a part of that is developing relationships so that we can sort of ease them into the understanding of who Christ is and how Christ has impacted our lives. But let's start with service first. What are we doing? Are we feeding them? Are we helping them find a place to live? Are we caring for their kids? What are we doing? So those of you that have been following this ministry for years know that that's a big part of what we do, is to first discover a way that we can effectively step into the lives of others, and then try to make a difference in people's lives, okay? So that's what was on my mind today. I'm going to try to do more videos about specific subjects, and I think going live is kind of interesting because it's actually me just blabbing. You notice I'm not showing my mug, because I'd rather be showing you God's beautiful ocean and the folks out on the beach. This is sort of my mission field here. And, there's plenty of people for me to talk to, and plenty of people for me to share Christ with. But I start the conversation not by, do you know Jesus, but, how's your day going? Are you enjoying the ocean? Or where are you from? Are you from here in the state? Or are you from some other state? Are you traveling? I get to know the person. I start a conversation and develop a relationship, and then I minister to them in a way that hopefully is meaningful to them. So I just wanted to go live, share a few words, and then a couple times a week I'm going to sit here and talk on a specific issue that's relevant to the ministry. So until we meet again.